Well, hello and welcome to another edition of 97 Octane Hockey's Monday Night Raw. Tonight, I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Mr. Bob Schmidt, and special guest from the Heavy Hockey Network and the Paddle Down podcast, Mr. Kirk Morris. We might also be joined by Dash in the Park from the Oilers Live, associate host, and EST. So tonight we're going to preview the upcoming game between the Oilers and the Las Vegas Golden Knights tomorrow at 7 o'clock at Rogers Place. The first meeting between these two teams since the epic playoff series last night. You may remember the lumberjack slash from Alex Pietrangelo on Leon Draisaitl, and that the Golden Knights eliminated the Oilers in 6 games. The Oilers are looking for revenge, while the Golden Knights are looking to assert their dominance in the Pacific Division. This game promises to be a high-octane clash of the Titans, and we are here to break it down for you. We'll analyze the strengths and weaknesses of both teams, the key players to watch, the possible lineups and strategies, and, of course, our predictions for the outcome. We will also give you some updates on the latest news and injuries from both camps, and some interesting stats and facts that you may not know. So buckle up, hockey fans, because this is going to be a wild ride. And this is the Oilers versus Golden Knights preview show. Welcome to the show, Kirk. And I'll start by asking you, and then Bobby can go. Will the Oilers send a message that they didn't think too highly of that slash by Draisaitl and that all is not forgiven?
Maybe. Listening to all the talking heads there in Edmonton this morning. Oh, is there going to be a big skirmish? Is there going to be redemption tomorrow night? And it's like, I don't know, man. Me personally, I don't think Leon or the guys are going to do anything really stupid, because that's just baiting him into throwing him into the penalty box. And I watched the first period here tonight between Calgary and Vegas, and their power play is stupid. Like it's stupid good. So you're just handcuffing yourself. As a fan, would I like to see redemption? Sure. Yeah. An eye for an eye doesn't hurt me any. I don't know about you, Bob, but anything goes, when the puck drops.
I don't, I think right now with kind of how the Oilers have kind of turned the tide a little bit, although it's only been 2 games, I understood, but, or more specifically 5 or 7 periods. I think they're going to concentrate mainly on getting those 2 points. That's going to be priority number 1, obviously. Are there guys going to take shots at? I'm pretty sure if Pietrangelo, has a puck anywhere, you're not going to pass up on hitting him. Of course, the only guy that I can kind of see taking a shot above him and beyond is probably Draisaitl, and not just because it happened to him, but because he has that edge to his game as well. Like he's been known. You saw it even the last game again, a little hack on the back of the shins for quote unquote maybe no reason, but just because it's there, right? I mean, yeah, he does have a reason to go after Pietrangelo. I hope like you say, Kurt, like that power play right now in Vegas, you don't want to give him opportunity for something stupid, right? So hopefully Leon will think that way. I also think the game will dictate what happens there. I mean, if it becomes a one-sided affair, especially on the Vegas side, then yeah, all gloves are off, right? So it's payback time then.
I'll raise you that if it's a blowout in either direction, I think maybe there's some retribution to be had. Not just if it's Vegas up by a ton, but I think if we're up by a ton too, you can start going looking for that and afford to take a stupid penalty. But
that's fair. Quick note, Dursa. You mentioned that we'll be analyzing the 2 Titans. Is it a bit early to call the Oilers Titans just yet?
Truth be told, I had a little help from the old chat GTP. Sometimes I default to that.
Think Oilers are Titans, then we're good.
Yeah, no. Well, sometimes they think we're playing games from 2 years ago, so sometimes it's not as sharp as you'd like. Is this a bigger revenge game for Leon Draisaitl or Stuart Skinner?
Ooh. You know what? I think it's a bigger revenge game for the Oilers. I don't think anybody here is going to be taking it personal. Skinner, obviously, is still proving himself, And I think he's putting that on himself to prove himself again, regardless of what team he's on. And he's done a really good job these last 2 games, for sure. But he's still on a bit of an uphill climb. Even last game, we saw some shakiness, especially early in the first. He had to regroup himself, right? So he's still in that process. I don't think he'll be thinking, "Oh, this is Vegas. I gotta get my shit together." I think he'll be thinking, "This is the opposition. I gotta get my shit together."
I you know what? I think Leon would be happy with the W first and foremost, but after last night's game there versus Anaheim, I'd say his swagger is somewhat back there with that one timer there on the power play. Like, it's going to be interesting there. I think once again, I think the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game are going to dictate how it's going to be. It seems like either the Oilers show up or they wobble right off the hop. Like, it just, you see it there in Carolina. The first 10 minutes, it was pretty even, and then it was just one bad miss. And then you go to the following game there in Washington, and it was just bam, just right at it. And then last night's game, once again, they fell back on their heels, and it was back and forth over one bad play again. So I just hope that they come out somewhat prepared rather than fall backwards again, and then they're chasing the game, right? So it seems to be the theme for this year, anyways.
It's been a little bit tough to figure this team out in a sense, though, because years past they were notoriously slow starters. That really hasn't been the case this year. It's kind of odd.
50-50.
And I think they played a pretty good matinee game in Washington. There used to be those two things together were kryptonite.
Yeah, usually. Nope, sorry, Bob.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, usually matinees are like the devil there for the Oilers. They're like, listening to Gregor, he said, "Yeah, they're great, Matt." And like, no, they're not, man. Like, just give up the grudge, just let it be.
Well, Gregor's basing it on the last matinee game. Like it seems to be everybody's just kind of. It's definitely like, what have we done lately kind of mentality. Like all across the board. I mean, you go on Twitter, it's everything about the last guy who had a shit game is the worst player we've ever had, and the next guy who has the best game is the best player we've ever had. So it's all about what have you done. That Washington game, though, I know we kicked Nashville's ass beginning of the season, but that Washington game, in my mind, was probably our best complete game of the season from start to finish.
100%.
I gotta interrupt the Vegas talk and just play this for everybody because I think it's freaking hilarious. Oh, hang on. Shit. 1 second.
Heard that from an official. Everybody on the ice now. Paul Maurice wants to know why penalties.
Every player on the ice has a 10-minute misconduct, among other penalties.
That was so funny.
That's just like the ref just said, "Fuck it," and left.
That's straight out of Slapshot, pretty much, right?
Yeah. Just turn the lights off.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Punch up the canny. Just turn the lights off. Let the players figure it out.
Golden Knights will be coming off the second end of a back-to-back as they're in Cowtown tonight, and Aiden Hill got the start tonight in Calgary. Shea Theodore is on the IR with an upper body injury, and Alec Martinez is listed out with a lower body injury. So hopefully that'll be the case again tomorrow. Am I wrong? Did Logan Thompson pick up a little bit of an injury? So I don't know who's actually backing up Aiden Hill.
I think it is Thompson tonight. I'm not too sure. That's what I heard from Woodley tonight.
Okay,
on Gregor's show. So
maybe he gets the call against us. Then that's interesting.
It could be just a slight nick there that prevented him. He was talking about Thompson starting there because he lives in Calgary there in the off season. He is actually from Calgary, so made sense, But maybe Aiden Hill starts both. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, they've kind of been alternating their guys, right? For the most part, there between Thompson and Hill. Like Thompson, if you look back on last season, he was actually having a great season. I mean, he played in the All-Star game. He probably very on par of what Stuart Skinner was doing last year. And then, of course, he gets hurt, misses the majority of the year, and then Hill ends up playing the savior, but which nobody in the hockey world would have called. And so I think they got a pretty good system going there. I don't think either one of them is like a really marquee number one goalie. Again, we're talking about depth in almost every position here that Vegas is displaying.
I was just
That's
going to
okay,
add
Dirk.
on.
You play your TikTok all you want, and then Kurt and I will talk hockey.
No, I was just checking something there, and it went back to that same clip of everybody needs to sit down for 10 minutes.
That's gonna be my new ringtone, I think.
It's pretty good. I'm looking forward to this game tomorrow to see where this team is really at. I mean, Washington's a pretty good team, and Washington was doing what they were doing without their power play firing on any cylinders, let alone all of them. And really, since the end of the second period in Carolina, the Oilers have played some pretty good hockey. Vegas has had a couple of shutouts, and now they're in Calgary, which might boost their spirits a little bit if they walk out of there with a win. So maybe they'll be a little bit content with that. So, can we get a full 60-minute effort again out of this team and a solid start out of Skinner are my questions. And then, I'm looking forward to a playoff-style game tomorrow, but maybe Vegas can't play that, but I hope we do.
Well, let's put some things in perspective here. So, like Washington, they were actually on a roll. I think they had a 5-game winning streak going into that game.
Yeah.
And the Oilers were just dominated right from the puck drop. Now, Anaheim, like Kurt mentioned there, was we stumbled coming out of the gate a little bit, and we're on our heels a little bit. In a sense, we're almost lucky that was Anaheim. Because that easily could have been another game where, the mistakes just stumble on top of each other, and a stronger team probably makes us pay even more. The fact we were able to regroup, that's great. But if that's, that's Tampa, or maybe if that's Vegas tomorrow, if we do the same thing, that might be a different story. So this Vegas game, I agree with you, Draisaitl, is going to be a good measuring stick here to see where we're actually at in this red hot 7 periods we've been playing.
Yeah, like it's probably the toughest test here in the next little stretch. I know that after tomorrow night's game, they've got Winnipeg, which is no slouch this year. They're playing pretty damn good hockey as well. Then they're off for like 6 days or something there. So
it's a bye week, I think.
Yeah, somewhere along the lines of that. But anyways, and then after that, I think they've got the Devils, they've got Tampa, they got Florida coming in, they've got Chicago coming in. Everybody knows what's happening in Chicago right now, but
I thought about doing like the David Letterman, the top 10 reasons why Corey Perry slept with Connor Bedard's mom, but wow,
allegedly, of course,
allegedly. There was 2 guys from Letterkenny also that slept with an ostrich, allegedly.
Yeah, and then
it's a 6-game home. It's a 6-game homestand too. So we have that going from.
I think after that Winnipeg game, if I'm not wrong, they have 7 at home.
That's 6 in a row, and then the road game, and I think a road for 1, then we come back for another one.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're home against Vegas. Go to Winnipeg, and then I think it's 7 home at home.
I think it's 6, but
you might be right, but
it's a stupid.
But
schedule.
You also might be right.
They're basically at home for the next 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Then they go out on the road there right before Christmas. They're all out east, which is kind of bizarre, but
yeah.
This does give us an opportunity to create some momentum, going into that Christmas break. And if ever we need to start playing like 600 hockey, it's now. Like regardless of the next little while here, like the rest of the season, it's a bit of an uphill climb for us. We're done with getting our asses kicked for a bunch of games in a row. I don't think we can afford to do that. We've used up those type of games that each team gets kind of during the season. So it's onward and upwards, our only chance. But we have the guns to do it.
I got a question for the two of you. Have you guys noticed a difference in the passing from number 25? And I'm not just referring to last night's sublime flying saucer, but it seems like to me this season he's got a conscious effort to make plays and put pucks on guys' sticks and send them away way more than he used to. And they're just getting completed, and you don't see the, hard rims or just get it out of your own end. Like he's looking to make plays more than he ever has.
I think since especially during the coaching change, you see that he's being more assertive. He's not being rushed. I think with Paul Coffey behind the bench, I know nothing against Dave Manson there, but it seems like they're more composed in a way. Like their heads aren't in the clouds. Like they're just just going through the motions. Like he's been quite active. Like he's always been good. As far as plus minus goes, I know it's not a very good stat to base a person's player's performance off of, but he just the eye test seems like he's more engaged, if that makes any sense. He does make the odd gaff, like pinching up and there's nobody covering. But that's the story of the season here with all the defense, not just him. But I believe last night he played awesome. Like I don't know that not wearing a bucket there during the warm-ups there. Maybe that was like his
tuned him in.
Yeah, pretty much. Just knock the rabbit ears right back in place, and he's good to go. So
yeah,
I don't know. What do you figure there, Bob?
He's on the right frequency now.
I think this team goes as our core goes, and our core of McDavid, Draisaitl, and excuse me, Nurse in particular. Like these three guys are as tight as can be, and they want to do all this thing together. It's been reiterated time and time again by those three. And I think before when McDavid was struggling, mainly probably due to injury for the longest time, I think Nurse put it on his shoulders more so to push the limit and to try and carry this team as best as he could. And he was forcing a lot of plays that weren't there, making a lot of decisions that were kind of aggressive and high risk, and he was getting caught on it. And then had to scramble back and was lost a couple times. There's no doubt in my mind, these last two games have been Nurse's best games of the year. He's played at an elite level. You look at McDavid, those are probably his two best games. Like his last game is probably as perfect as a game as you can have as a forward in the NHL. And then Draisaitl, I would argue, has the game against Washington, he was elite, and in the game against Anaheim, he was very good. So given that, these three guys feeding off each other, and now that they're kind of all three of them are carrying the load, Nurse doesn't feel like he has to try and carry it himself and forcing plays. He's simplifying things and just making smarter decisions and seeing the game better. I mean, that was pre-planned by him and Nuge on that breakaway, and that was Erik Karlsson pass. Like that was phenomenal pass to make that move. He found his stride.
Yeah, it was Draisaitl-esque on the backhand, although it was on Nurse's forehand. I mean, it was pretty to watch that thing. Some strangers saying Vladar's keeping Calgary in this game. Good segue to check the out-of-town scoreboard. So through two periods, the Avalanche are leading the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-1. Vegas is up 1-0 halfway through the second. Capitals and Sharks are scoreless about 5 minutes into the first. Bruins lost to the Columbus Blue Jackets 5-2 tonight. Yep. Panthers shellacked the Senators 5-0 in the Battle of the Tkachuk brothers. And the Buffalo Sabres laid it to the Rangers 5-1.
Oh, wow.
UPL was awesome in that game. Like he
did bounce back game for the Sabres. They were starting to struggle a little bit there. So, and that's a pretty quality team they just took out too.
Yeah, big time.
Another thing I guess wanted to touch on: specialty teams are becoming a positive factor in games since Knobloch has taken over the helm. How much credit should go to him, or as a result of some key players starting to get healthy, both on the power play and on the kill?
Well, do you give Mark Stewart a little bit of credit now since Dave
Manson's not
running it? And I think if you're in Chris Knobloch's shoes, you just say, "You guys do your thing, I'll do my thing. We'll figure it out when we got some time on their hands," which they're going to have a lot of here coming up pretty darn quick, so that he can nail add his flavor into the systems and whatnot. But this penalty kill has just been atrocious. The last, well, even pre-Tippett, like Todd McClellan days, like it's been brutal. And if they, I think they're just, going with mentality of just take out the lanes and not allow any passes through the seams and whatnot there, especially through the home plate area, and just keep everything to the outside. And I think that's what they've been focusing on, like in that diamond box formation, they've been pretty good, at least in the last 2 games. Like it's been lights out, actually.
So Jason from the Puck and Pigskin podcast says, "Hey fellows, the real test tomorrow for you. Dan Vladar is keeping the Flames in the game right now. It's almost as if he reads some stranger's comments, but I guess I should give him a plug. He wants me to be on his show Wednesday night, so I will."
Well, that leads me to believe that that's 2 comments in a row there about Dan Vladar keeping the Flames in. But that leads me to believe that Vegas is outplaying Calgary. It's mainly because of the goaltending the Flames are showing that they're even in this game. So that that now we're expecting we're going to need Skinner to do the same. But going back to the PK there, that whole thing was he did give Stewart basically all the credit because he's kind of taken over the penalty kill with Manson gone. And I agree with you where Novak will be kind of like, you guys do your thing and I'll do my thing, because technically it's not really his team yet, right? Like he's coming in mid-stride here and he's picking up pieces here and there and tweaking on the fly. But this isn't his team from beginning of the season. So you kind of got to play the cards that you're dealt with. One thing he has done, though, on the penalty kill is he's kind of taken that load off of, our elite guys like McDavid and Draisaitl, and not nearly as much. Other guys feel more investment. You can see the playing time kind of leveling out too. Like the last couple of games, I think both McDavid and Draisaitl have been under 20 minutes. So that's leveling off a bit. And now guys like Janmark, who I thought played really well last game, and he's getting more ice time. He's feeling more engaged. Our fourth line's getting some more ice time. I thought Ernie was probably one of his best games last game too. Hamlin is who he is. He always works hard. So everybody's feeling more engaged because they're getting a little bit more ice time, a bit more spread out. They know their roles more. Like guys know, like Ryan and Janmark know they're coming over the boards for a penalty kill and, such a thing. So I think that's kind of a small tweak he's done that's actually in the long run going to make a pretty big difference.
If James Hamlin keeps playing the way he is, he's not going back to the A anytime soon.
Yeah, I know, eh?
No. He'll stay on the fourth line there. He's a good anchor on that fourth line.
He is a good anchor. He's got deceiving speed. I didn't realize he was as fast as he was.
And he's got good size. I mean, are you injecting Sam in his place? I don't think so. I mean, if Gagne re-enters the fold, I think it's Ernie's the guys that's coming out. But I think they keep Ernie in games that they think could be physical affairs.
I have a theory on Gagne. I think it's kind of a bit of a load management thing here for him. I mean, coming off that double hip surgery and then coming up in the NHL, like the NHL game is a hard, heavy game. And I wouldn't doubt at all that to some degree it kind of caught up to him. I don't think he's not LTR stuff, but I think he's hurting. I think he's banged up a little bit. They're going to manage his workload a little bit. I'm sure if a guy like Ernie or McLeod goes down, then Gagne is ready to come in already. But right now you're gonna watch him a bit and take care of him a little bit, because that's a guy with his presence, his leadership, and even the stuff he's been doing on the ice. We're gonna need this guy for the season.
So this comment from Jason there: shots 15-11 for Flames, but all Vegas shots have been great chances. If you're holding Vegas to 11 shots halfway through a hockey game, I think you're playing a pretty good game.
Yeah, it depends what kind of chances you're giving up, though. And then that, like I said there, the first period, what I saw in the power play, it was freaking good. Like they even scored again. I think it was a lucky bounce back off the post there in the second power play that they had there in the first, and they got it out just in the nick of time.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it was kind of like that argument that Dash and I were sort of having about our goaltending too. Like, in some of those games, we weren't really giving the other team a lot of chances. Yeah, there were some glorious ones, but when you're not giving up that much, you'd like a save here and there. Good segue, I guess, to ask you guys both, if you're have that crystal ball. Elliot Friedman brought it up that the Oilers' plan for goaltending might be bringing Jack back. How long would you wait to make that move? Because I mean, to me, he needs multiple games down on the farm where he shows really well. The other night, I think he stopped 33 out of 36 shots, so that's pretty good outing again. And the game before that, it was a shutout. But I'd like to see multiple games of that kind of caliber before I think about bringing him up. If you can't, be at say 925 save percentage in the AHL, I don't think you really have a lot of business coming up.
Yeah, I think with the last game there, from what I read on Twitter or X, if you want to call it, Bruce Kurlock is a hell of a follow there for all our prospects and whatnot.
Yeah.
He said the veterans didn't even show up there last game. Like he said basically Campbell held it in as long as he could.
Yeah.
Which seems to be his story of this year for him as well. Like he tries to do his best and it's still not good enough. So, and it kind of sucks right now because from all the reports that I've read, I haven't seen any game action with Olivier Rodrigue, but from what I've read, he's a solid goaltending prospect.
Yeah.
So it kind of, like I said, it kind of sucks because you're taking time away from him to see it's show me what you got here for him because he's got another 1-year deal for this year and that's it, right? So
he needs time too.
Yeah, it's a tough balance, right?
And there's only one net.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, though. We're in the win now mentality, right? So yeah, in the perfect world, Campbell finding his game is what we want. We can call him up, and hopefully he carries that momentum. I also agree with you, Dursa, is the fact he hasn't been down there long enough to show consistency. Like his first 2 starts were absolutely brutal, and yeah, his last 2 starts have been exceptional. Let's see if we can carry this for a bit. We have I've always thought, even when we drafted Skinner, I did see the future of us having a Skinner-Rodrigue tandem. I've been a fan of Rodrigue since he was drafted. I love the fact he's been having a great year. Him and Pickard down there were having great season. They were alternating most of the time and doing fantastic. I do think Campbell will get most of the reps now because we need him to find his game, and hopefully he gets that fast so Rodrigue can get back on schedule. So I think right now he's only played, one of the first 5 starts down there since Campbell's been down? Something like that, I think. So.
Yeah, I think they sat him a game. Yeah. Which is what they needed to do after he got shellacked a couple of times, I think.
I also do think that Holland is still actively looking for, or Jackson, whoever you want to believe, is looking for a goaltender out there as some sort of stopgap. But we're not going to get a true number 1 goalie. We're not going to do it. The asking price is going to be too high. We're counting on either Skinner showing some consistency now, Campbell finding his game, and we got original combo back, or if we have to find somebody, we're looking for a guy who we hope is going to get into a hot streak to help carry us. That's a lot of hope.
In the words of Elliot Friedman, teams out there are going to be throwing you anvils, not life preservers. So
100% they will.
Yeah,
because every team knows that the Oilers are desperate for better goaltending right now. So the asking price, you can't tell me that if Carolina goes to Philadelphia to try and get Hart, their asking price is going to be lower than what the Oilers are when they come asking. Because teams know that the Oilers are trading from a position of weakness to get goaltending. So you can afford to ask more, and you can be ridiculous on your demands.
I don't think Carolina is the best example you could have used, just because they're in the same conference. But if Vegas has come calling, they're going to get a better deal than we would. I agree. I agree with the premise of what you're trying to say.
I just picked a team out of thin air, but no, Vegas is a better option. But yeah, they're going to have a less of an asking price than say the Oilers. The Oilers are seriously going to get raped in a deal for number 1 goaltender. That's all there's to it.
Yeah.
Multiple number 1 picks.
But I do think the best deal for the Oilers to have is going outside of the Western Conference.
So who out of the Eastern Conference would you go after then? Because Hart will be. I don't think they're going to give up Hart there in Philly now. I don't.
Hart would be ideal.
They're playing.
Of all the names that have been out there, Hart would be my favorite, but there's no way we get him. Like that's another example where the asking price would be just way too high.
Well, maybe my opinion on this has changed in the last couple days. But a couple days ago, I'm thinking, if you are going to swing for the fences and you do go after Carter Hart, is that enough to get you into the playoffs anyway? And where we were at 2 games ago, I don't know. Like it was looking pretty bleak. Now that they're sort of coming back to life a little bit, and McDavid seems to have found his game, then maybe you do swing for the fence. It's going to cost you a lot of futures. The cost is going to be high, and you have to evaluate whether it's worth paying that price. Do you really believe this team has it all and is ready to make that serious run at it, or do you think you make that move and they still could miss the playoffs? If you're in that camp, then I don't think you do really anything. Hang on to your assets and punt for next season.
At this point, I would keep your powder dry right up until the deadline. Like, and if then, like, you'll have a better understanding once January rolls around, once you get through this month or through December, I should say.
Yeah,
Get through that stretch, and then once the calendar turns over to 2024. And then you'll have a better range of what you're going to go after, right?
Both of you guys are goalie guys, so this is a good question to pitch to you both. Is going after like a James Reimer or somebody in that kind of realm. Mackenzie Blackwood's another name that comes up a lot. How much better does that get you than what you have right now in Skinner and Calvin Pickard? Can Calvin Pickard play one every 6 games and be serviceable? Can you get a win with him on occasion? And I mean, that's really what you ask of your backup anyway. You don't ask him to win every night. You just ask him to win some of his starts. Can you get that out of that guy? Like, or do you look at other areas to improve the club?
Well, you look at every area to improve the club. I mean, you're not a general manager if you don't keep looking to improve, regardless. Going back to what you said, Bill, though, quickly, Kurt, about wait until the new year to see kind of where you're at. The argument there would be, what if it's too late by then? What if we go on like an 8-game losing streak at that point already and get mathematically eliminated before we even open up a present?
Well, do you do a knee-jerk trade? Like, that usually gets you even worse and deeper in the hole.
No, I understand. I'm on your side.
Has proved that fucking theory. I can tell you that much, time and time again.
Going back to your goaltender thing, though, you say once every 6 starts. I would even say less than that. I'd say once every 4 starts. You want your backup in there to play a game. Pickard's got some experience. I thought he's shown very well in these couple games that he has come in. So yeah, he warrants getting a start every 4 games here to see where that. And Skinner's gonna need a rest here and there too. James Reimer, do we improve with James Reimer? What we get with James Reimer is a veteran. You won't get too phased by the pressures of being an NHL goalie and being number 1. I mean, he was number 1 in Toronto for years, and that's quite the pressure cooker there in itself. But again, we're relying on a goalie to get hot. And Skinner can just as easily get hot as James Reimer can get hot. So do we improve much? I don't think so. Now, having said that, I'm a James Reimer fan. He's past his prime. And another story that I can probably share on a different show is James Reimer, I feel, is in the NHL because of me. Just a little teaser there. And so, no, I don't think we improved that greatly by making that trade. The only way we really improve in our goaltending is by getting like a legit top 15 number 1 goaltender.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think if they're going for a goalie, then swing for the moon, swing for the stars. But
the deal has to be right. It can't, and it's a can't miss deal. You can't, and I don't even think Holland's in the driver's seat anymore. It's Jeff Jackson's team.
Yeah, no,
he's very well connected. I know this is another stab in the dark for me there, to put the tinfoil hat on or whatever. But when it comes to goaltenders, I really like Connor Ingram's game, but he's still in that. He hasn't. he hasn't taken that next step, but this year so far, it looks like he has to a certain degree. But I don't think Arizona wants to give him up. If anything, they'll trade Vejmelka. At least it points to that way there. But I don't know. It seems like going back to you there, Bob. If they blow another tire and they lose like a whole bunch of games in a row, they'll throw in the towel. It's no use, shooting blanks there. Like when it comes to the trade deadline, if you got nothing to win for, like it's no use spending your assets. And like I said, burn yourself in a deep hole. Today I heard, there's talk about maybe buying out Jack Campbell at the end of the season, and then go and finding another free agent goalie there next year, or look at what your options are internally. But I don't know. It's if I had a magic 8 ball here right now, I'd probably shake the shit out of it just to, predict what's going to happen. Anything can happen, and goaltenders are voodoo. Anything can happen.
Yeah, no, the Carmen Gills on Twitter, almost like have like a personal vendetta against Jack Campbell. And I just sit back and I'm like, this guy, it hasn't went well for him since he's been here, but, toss 52 cards in the air and they all might land aces with Jack, overnight. You just never know what can happen with a goalie. It can be all over the place.
Well, hang on though. Like he did save our season last year in the playoffs, now one game even, and he came in and he played stellar throughout whatever he got thrown in. So it's not like it was a complete waste of money, but he hasn't been the Jack Campbell that we needed him to be consistently, for sure not.
No, and I mean he had a pretty good preseason, right? And then
he had a great preseason,
and then
all signs pointed to him having that rebound season that we all needed him to have. So I do think Colin was looking for, the reports were that Colin was looking for goalies already during the offseason too. But in the end, it's like we needed that bounce back from Campbell, and all signs were pointing to the fact that we were going to get it. Even the first game, throw the first game out because we all shit the bed in that first Canucks game. Like that, there's not a single Oiler that can look at the mirror and go, man, I actually played good. That first one against Nashville, there's quite a few Oilers that stepped up, but I thought Campbell might have been our best player of that game even. So even then already the signs are pointing that, hey, this might be after a strong playoffs, a strong preseason, strong first win, this might be the bounce back season, and then it just didn't happen.
You know what else I look at though is at the time that we sent Campbell down, his save percentage was actually better than Skinner's.
But it's a no-brainer who you're going to send down there,
right? Because he's older and he's got that big contract, and everybody knew it was a safe thing. It was a safe thing to do, yeah. So you go and get him work, but really at that time, Skinner needed the exact same thing.
Yeah.
The problem with Campbell was never his talent. It was never his talent. He always had great technical skills. When he was with the national team there, right, in juniors and whatnot. When he got to the pros, then, just like any other player, you're going to get schooled. You're going to have to learn how the ways are. And it's always been his confidence. You even seen that in times there with Toronto. But once he had his swagger, it seemed like nothing could get by. He just saw beach balls all the time. Plus the system there in Toronto, I'm not, pumping their tires by any means. I'm just like any other Leaf hater out there. But they played defensively very well in front of him. And I don't think the system that they had in place when he made the move to the Oilers suited his style. And then it's just a 1-2 knockout punch. You don't have a good system in front of you, your confidence is going to be shot pretty damn quick.
Well, and going back to that too, those are great points, Kurt. I think, wasn't Campbell a first-round draft pick even?
He was, yep.
Yeah, so he was a highly touted goaltender. And that time in Toronto might have been his best stretch as a pro. And there was a time when he got red hot where he was basically playing like he was a top 10 goalie in the NHL.
Vezina caliber season, yeah.
And it looked like finally Toronto had the goaltending they needed. Then he got hurt and never really consistently gained his form after that. But So you're right, the talent has always been there. It's just a matter of being able to string it together.
Yeah, I think he went 11th overall in 2013, I think. 2012, 2013. I can't remember the year, but he did go 11th overall there to Dallas.
To Dallas, yeah.
So, Puck and Pigskin, do the Oilers still technically have Smitty, or is that a done deal?
He is retired.
So he's on LTIR.
No, his contract is done, isn't it?
His contract's done as of end of last season.
Are you sure? I thought he was still on LTIR, but he is not coming back. His legs are hanging together by a thread. His groin is detached from his leg, I'm pretty sure. So no chance Mike Smith is donning the Oilers silks ever again. That's done. And he says another 10-bell save from Vladar and another post a few minutes ago. I think the second period there is basically done, and it's still 1-0 for Vegas. Colorado 3-1 with about 6 minutes gone in the third over Tampa Bay, and San Jose is up 1-0 over Washington. Oh no, cancel the Capitals now.
May make a deal for Charlie Lindgren.
Didn't San Jose did San Jose beat Vegas?
I think they did, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they did too. They did too. So we don't have to feel like, that much shame, I guess.
Well, they kind of fell off. Like they had that good streak to start out the season, which way they did win. They did want. But I think Logan Thompson has lost the last 4 starts that he's had or something like that, or today. And I was just like, what? They only had a few overtime losses, I think, or something like that. But they cooled off. Same thing with the Bruins, man. Like,
that surprised me. Too. Surprised me. They cooled off. And I'm not totally on board yet on the strength of Vegas's goaltending either. I don't think Aiden Hill's a true number 1 goaltender. I think Logan Thompson has potential to be. I really do. And yeah, he's lost those last few, but I think he is their future in net. But like Aiden Hill, that was an anomaly. He's what he did in the playoffs. Good on him. Obviously, he deserved it. He played well. But like I said before, there's nobody on this planet that predicted that, and I highly, highly doubt that he could ever replicate that again. I don't think he is that kind of goalie.
Never say never.
They need these 2 guys to have depth and be able to feed off each other.
Matt Murray caught lightning in the bottle twice. Just remember that, right? So
that goes to show that if you're in the NHL, you're automatically a top 100 goalie in the world. So any one of these guys, if they get hot at the right moment, can help carry a team to victory. Like frickin' the Flyers almost won the cup on the duo of Leighton and Boucher. Like seriously,
Bobby Boucher. I got a buddy that's a Bruins fan that I probably should get on here. I tried to have him once, but it didn't really work very good. He says this Bruins team is in trouble. Sweeney needs to start working the phones. The last 3 games, teams have figured out the Bruins can't break out with a good forecheck on them. They need help up front. They also need an enforcer because they're getting pushed around like they're a high school team.
I disagree. I think the Bruins are a very talented team. And I think, to me, I think they were going to be – like I had them going to the Stanley Cup Finals this year in my preseason predictions.
Really?
So I thought there'd be less focus on them with the loss of Bergeron and Krejci. That there'd be less pressure on them, and they still got great depth. I think this is what they're going through right now is one of those stretches that you see every team go through in an 82 game schedule. So I do think they still got the same coach. They got the same core, regardless of Bergeron and Krejci, that they'll figure it out and bounce back again. It's just one of those things that happens during a season where you're going to have one of those slumps on the ebbs and flows of a season.
Yeah, it depends. Like, and depends on like what you do within that. The constraints of if you do fall down, like how do you get back up? Do you yell at the guys? Do you kick garbage cans? Well, I don't think any team does that anymore. But you have to reinforce your basic structure. It seems like every team that falls apart, including the Oilers, well known this year, if you play outside your structure and if you don't cover up your mistakes, like in odd man breakouts and whatnot, you're going to get burned each and every time. It's the best league in the world for a reason. that the guys that they catch on quick. They'll pick up your weaknesses and they'll just exploit them, like many teams have done to the Oilers this year.
Okay, so this is.
Oh, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
This is totally unscripted, but what you just said there is a beautiful segue to a question that needs to be asked now of you both. I missed the Jimmy Playfair complete yard sale from a coach because he wanted a call that didn't come. But for both of you, in Edmonton Oilers history, what's your favorite moment from a coach? I'll give you mine after you guys go, but
anything goes. Like
anything goes. Anything.
Can I go first?
You can definitely go first. You're our guest.
Mac T behind the bench. They're pulling out Harvey the Hound's tongue. Bar none. That was. I have the newspaper clippings in the other room.
Very good. What do you got, Bobby?
Well, that's the first one that came to my mind too, because that was pretty. It was pretty. A pretty memorable moment for sure. But I do remember, say they're getting into quite a few altercations, interactions behind with fans behind the glass, because that's when they had the small glass back then. I think somebody poured a beer on him once behind the bench, and then one of the Oilers, geez, I can't remember his name now, I think tried to climb the glass to get at that fan.
Pulled the Mike Milbury.
I pulled Mike Milbury with the shoe.
Yeah.
That might be Ken Linsman that would have,
I think it was actually one of the enforcers. I can't remember who it was, but I do remember that Sather got beer dumped on him and the Oilers just scrambled. But Sather's also one of those guys who instigate that with the fans. Like, he was a passionate, fiery coach as well, so he got into quite a few arguments with fans behind him. And back then with that low glass, it was there was a lot of personality shone through there.
I got to go with Ron Lowe wanting to fight. I think it was Ken Hitchcock in the Oilers Stars series. That is my fucking go-to. Like, if I want to get the adrenaline and goosebumps going, I go and watch Ron Lowe wanting to fight the fucking coach from the Stars. Oh, I'm pretty sure it was Hitch too, and he was ready to like hop the glass and get after it. Like, oh man, that's the pinnacle for me. I mean, the Mac T thing, pulling Harvey the Hound's tongue out, was hilarious. But yeah, thank you for that segue, Kirk. That was awesome.
I'll never forget that, man. Like, and the following game there, Harvey the Hound had his face patched up. I just played it right to the nines. Like, you can't ask for any better script there.
Yeah.
And didn't they reenact that with like Hunter, like taking the tongue or something from Harvey the Hound too?
I remember. They did something similar to that though. Yeah.
Actually, I give credit to Harvey the Hound for that, because he kind of used it, in a fun, playful manner. Like you said, he came out taped up sort of thing. And I think I do remember something with him and Hunter together too, Dursa. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it was something similar. Yeah.
This is a good one too. I mean, yeah. Shout out to Woodcroft for standing there and sitting and waiting for.
Oh yeah, that was
fantastic. That's one of my favorite Woodcroft moments. Are you kidding me? The way he swings that gate and everything, and just stands there. I'm ready for round two.
Him waiting at the podium sometimes was hilarious too.
The Poho stance there, yeah. It's a
the Poho thrust, yeah.
Poho thrust, yeah. There you go, yeah.
Okay, so now I have a topic for you guys, because I've been getting on with this on Twitter here lately. But everybody calling for Holland's firing, Ken Holland's firing. Your take on that one, Kurt? You go.
It's no longer his team. Like, just give it up. Like, you think they're gonna tar and feather a Hockey Hall of Fame general manager? Do you really think that they're going to just put him out to the pasture right pronto? I know.
Quick wrench. I'll throw a quick wrench in those gears there, Kurt. Do you think that he's the problem? Has he been the problem?
He's made some pretty bad trades, but he's also made some damn good ones. So I'm going to say coin flip on that one. But when you seen the press conference they're introducing Ken Knoblauch, and then have two contradicting statements right one after another, Didn't you guys go over that before you went out onto the sound stage there for the press conference? Do you think you'd be on the same page, and then have Jeff Jackson go, yeah, we didn't talk to our guys, just like, WTF? Like, what's happening here? Like, who's running the show? Like, that's the part that pisses me off the most. I love Ken Holland and his transparency. He'll tell it like it is if you ask him, whether it's on or off the record. That part I absolutely respect. But just mind your P's and Q's, or say it like it is. Don't treat it like another PR stunt where you go, well, we're and try to sweep it under the rug like nothing ever happened. Well, just as far as Ken Holland goes, I don't think he's behind the wheel anymore, whether you like it or not. So the fire Holland tweets, or even the chants will fire up if they do fall backwards on their R's. Well, it's too far gone. It's too far removed. They're just going to play it out, and then Jeff Jackson's going to hire his guy, whether it's Paul Coffey or whoever else in the offseason, or Brad Holland, or Ken Holland's son Brad Holland might take the wheel. Who knows? Jeff Jackson will have his guy in the end. And if they do fall in their arses, they'll play it out just like, oh, they'll point at him. They'll point at Ken Holland saying, yep, he's the bad guy. He signed all the bad contracts, made all the bad moves. This is what happened. That's the way it usually goes. Same thing in Ottawa there, where you take a look at Pierre Dorion and what he did. He's made some doozy fucking moves. But that's my take on it. I don't know about you guys. What do you guys figure on that?
So I guess my own thoughts on Ken are, he just kind of, from where I come from, a general manager usually gets to fire or hire two head coaches before they're done. And whether he did the hiring or or it was Jeff Jackson that brought in Chris Knobloch.
No, it was Jackson's hiring, big time.
Yeah, for Ken to still be kind of in the so-called general manager's chair after that, to me, that's you could have let him go. The two guys that he brought in, it didn't work out, and so you're on to number 3. That's kind of my reasoning why I wouldn't have been, broken up if Ken Holland was dismissed. Now you just keep him around, kind of like Weekend at Bernie's, and roll him out to help you make deals or something like that. Yeah, and I don't know, if you didn't need him, you didn't need him. Let him go. But
would you say Ken Holland has made the team better or worse since he got here? Overall,
yeah, I mean,
he had to pitch out a lot of shit there to make hay. Like he had to clean out the stalls before he could get the fresh hay in the barn.
It isn't a pristine, ensemble, and the biggest blemish I would say is Jack Campbell not working out. After that, I mean, there's been some positive and some negative. I mean, Zach Hyman is a hell of a player. I'm glad we have him. Matthias Ekholm is a hell of a player. I'm glad we have him. I think he had a lot to do with Derek Ryan being here, and maybe Bob Stauffer, but I like Derek Ryan. Sam's back. I've got nothing against Sam. I am. And at league minimums, I mean, some of these contracts, Kulak, Cody Cece, I'd like a better top pairing right shot D, but he's a serviceable player and a good person, and not undisciplined, not going to the penalty box. He's the kind of guy that if he's on your third pairing, I think you've got a really good team. But when he's your first pairing right shot D, I think that's an area that you need to improve.
Agreed.
Yeah, Nuge got locked up, kept Nuge forever. The core of this team is still electric, and dangerous. And, it was a slow start this season, but I don't think that's really on Ken Holland. I mean, in the summer, if you read the papers or looked on Twitter, guess who was picked to, take a run at Stanley? And so the roster that was assembled, it was there. It's just, it didn't fully work out. And I don't think it's all on Woodcroft either. I think it's just a funk that they were in, and some unfortunate perfect storm injuries with Leon and Connor both at the same time. I don't think we've ever had that before. And I really do think Leon was fighting through something. There's no way in hell that he'd miss all those one-timers that, are his patented shot if there wasn't something ailing him. You can't tell me, like Jason Gregor trying to say, well, he's just in a slump. No, that guy's too good of a shooter. He works on that shot too much to just be in a slump. I don't buy that for a second. There was something that was tweaked that, he could play through, but he wasn't right.
Do you think that something happened in the dressing room there during the captain's skate or even during training camp?
No, I don't buy Dash's theory on that whatsoever.
Okay. I just figured I'd throw it out there.
No, and it warrants bringing up. That's fine, but I'm with Dirks. I don't think anything happened. I think.
Yeah, I do not believe for 1 second they got together to go against Woodcroft. No. I think it was those guys were there. They knew that they needed to work harder to win a Stanley Cup, and they were trying to do that and that alone.
It was just last playoffs there where McDavid called Woodcroft one of the best coaches in the NHL. So yeah. I don't think that they were. I think they saw it coming because we all kind of saw it coming. The words were out there. I mean, nobody wanted to see it happen, but in the end, you can't just not do nothing. We already tried sending guys to the minors, including Jack Campbell. We still weren't turning things around. So, unfortunately, the coach is at the head of the helm, and he takes the sword, and nobody liked it. But what if Woodcroft stays on and we lose 6 out of 7 again or something like that, right? So. Now it's like maybe just a voice change is a difference, but
I don't buy either. Like Woodcroft lost the room or anything like that. I just think they were in a slump, and
they were.
And I'm glad you asked the question because it was something that I wanted to talk about, and kind of talking about it on here is sometimes better than the group chat with, just a couple of us. It's a good question, but I didn't sniff any of that. No, and I just don't buy that. Those guys are going to, turn their backs on another coach. No.
Well, they were pretty adamant. I know sometimes people say stuff just because that's the right thing to say, but they were pretty adamant when they were talking about how Woodcroft had not lost the room. Like when they were asked that, like McDavid was asked that, Draisaitl was asked that, they were pretty adamant that was not the case at all.
But I do think that waiting until after they beat Seattle to, pull the plug on Woodcroft caused more of an earthquake than if they would have just done it after San Jose. You kind of, it's like the Japanese in Pearl Harbor, Tora, Tora, Tora. I mean, that hit me. That was a complete surprise. And credit again to Dash and Michael for grabbing the story on that, because I would have thought that winning a hockey game would have, wrote a new script, and it didn't. I guess I
honestly believe that Woodcroft had a 20-game window to turn things around when he started struggling. If the team wasn't progressing in the right direction after 20 games, he would have been taking the fall, with the exception of the San Jose game. I mean, if you lose to one of the worst teams that there's been in a while here now, that's going to accelerate that process. So I don't doubt at all that decision was made already after that game. I kind of like the fact they waited till after the Seattle game, because Woodcroft was able to go out on a win, and he deserved that. But maybe the team kind of felt that, and maybe they ended up playing for him in some way in that game.
Yeah, rather than getting Gerard Gallant there, getting a taxi there right after the game. Yeah, somewhat classy, and not dump him.
Or turn on your computer. We got a Skype call coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll touch on this, and then I'll ask you guys one more thing, and then
I want to touch briefly on Holland, if you don't mind, Dursa.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do think that I think Holland has made it. I think what we got with Holland here, as opposed to what we lost with Holland here, I think outweighs it. I mean, we have mainstays like you mentioned, Hyman, Ekholm, Kulak, Evander Kane, right? These are mainstays we have here that have brought in more than what we've lost. The biggest thing you touched on it too, Dursa, is Campbell. Campbell has been a miss so far for sure, and it's such an obvious miss because every mistake a goalie makes ends up in the net. So that's that's in our face going, oh shit, he let this one again, let this one in again, he let an 8 this one like that. So that's in our face the whole time. I do think he's been actively trying to address that. And Campbell was also one of those attempts because we needed goaltending. So he went and got Campbell because at one point there in Toronto, he was a top 10 goalie. And so there was hopes he would find that. And there was hopes he would bounce back when he kind of stumbled last season too, like we mentioned before with his playoff run and his preseason run and his first win. So the signs were there that it could work. So the misses, people always, as humans, we focus on the negative more than the positive because they impact us more. So the misses are kind of like, oh shit, well he sucked with Campbell. Yeah, but he also got us all these mainstays that we're probably not as good a team if we don't have Ekholm and Kane and Hyman and such. And I also agree with you, Kurt, is the fact that right now Jeff Jackson is making all the calls. And that was very evident in that press conference, like you mentioned. Having said that, I do think they still kind of Holland will be advising more or less now because he has a lot of connections, he has a lot of experience, and if there's anybody as motivated in the Oilers to win another Stanley Cup, it's Ken Holland. Winners crave winning. Like you win one cup, you want to win that second one more than you wanted to win that first one. Like it's a taste. And Ken Holland is a competitor. He's an ex-player. And he's an ex-winner. So you don't think he wants to retire with one more Stanley Cup before it's all said and done? He's as motivated as anybody.
Take a look at Lou Lamoriello. Like he's nearly 80. I don't know if he is 80. He's still GMing. Still
chasing it.
He's still chasing that buzz.
And Ken still knows how to facilitate a trade, right?
Yeah. So Dursa, you're bang on. Where most prognosticators, professional prognosticators, and us amateur ones, we all had the Oilers as strong cup contenders, if not winning it this season. And that is knowing what the roster was at that time.
Yeah.
So the fact that roster hasn't hit, that's not on Holland. That's on the players not being able to hit. And it's very rare that you have McDavid and Draisaitl coming out of the gate kind of slow. Having said that, Draisaitl coming out of the gate kind of slow, he was still having a 1.3 points per game average.
Yeah.
But so that like a slow Leon Draisaitl is still the second best player in the world.
So I'll ask you both score predictions for tomorrow.
5-4 Edmonton in overtime.
You know what? You're actually close to mine because I thought I'd be the anomaly by picking a high-scoring game. I think Edmonton's going to ride this momentum. I'm actually going 6-4 with an empty netter.
Yeah, I think it could be a good old-fashioned barn burner. I'm going to go 7-5 Edmonton.
Ooh, look at us.
And Puck and Pigskin saying Flames score 1-1. So they're in a dogfight right now, with the Flames.
So we'll all be wrong by the looks of it here tomorrow.
Well, you got to take advantage of Theodore and Martinez not being in lineup. Sure.
Yeah, and if Calgary can stretch that game and extend it and get it into overtime, maybe we can win a 3-1 hockey game for a change, and take advantage of Vegas early and then sit on a lead. Something that this team needs to learn how to do. With that being said, I guess I got one more question for Kirk, and then I'll close this down. Paddle Down Podcast. When's the next episode, my man?
Yeah, there you go.
I kind of shelved it for this year.
Okay.
I kind of talked to Michael about it there and just said it's not happening. I'm too busy with work, man. Like my job in between that and my other hobbies here, like writing and with my music, it's just too much. And you get the old imposter syndrome kicking in, and you're just like, should I talk out of my ass, or should I do the the gun, the finger guns and whatever else?
Yes.
It just, and it's a back and forth in my head. I'm pretty much a perfectionist when it comes to stuff that I do. I either do it right or I don't do it at all. And yeah, it's just been, even with my writing here as late, I've been slacking. I have an article in a hopper that's been sitting in the drafts there for like a week. And it's just like, should I revise it? I'm kind of my own worst enemy when it comes to that kind of stuff, right? And I think a lot of people out there can sympathize that way. So to answer your question, no, there is no more Paddle On podcast for the foreseeable future. I'm not shelving it completely, but as of right now for this year, it's not happening.
Well, I'm sad to hear that because I enjoy your perspective on the position of goaltending.
Well, that solved it then, Dursa. We just got to get Kirk on more often because and get your feedback, because you always have valuable feedback, Kurt. So very much glad you heard you were jumping on. So that's fantastic. And also, Dursa, I'm looking forward to your Pucks and Pigskin guest spot on podcast tomorrow. I'll definitely be tuning into that one. So I appreciate Jason with his comments there and listening in, but I'll definitely be tuning in tomorrow because I think that'll be a good episode there.
Well, I got to bring you a little bit of bad news. It's Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday then. There you go. Well, I'm tuning in tomorrow, so how? No.
Yeah, in the DeLorean, you'll get the episode. I will try to get this out on Spotify and iTunes and all those other audio podcasting services tomorrow. Thanks everybody for listening. This has been another episode of 97 Octane Hockey's Monday Night Raw.
Oh.
And now we shall play everybody's favorite cool down music. Good night, everybody.